The galaxy of Warhammer 40,000 is a realm of eternal war where myth and history intertwine. It is a universe forged by conflict, shaped by ambition, and darkened by countless sacrifices. Among the myriad tales that define this grim setting, few are as enigmatic and impactful as the origins of the Thunder Warriors, the first true soldiers of the Emperor of mankind. These titanic warriors were not merely the foundation of an empire. They were a fleeting glimpse of what humanity could achieve at its peak and a grim reminder of the cost of ambition. The Thunder Warriors were a fleeting yet crucial chapter in humanity's path to dominance. Before the Space Marines, before the legions of the Adeptus Astartes carved their legacy across the stars, the Thunder Warriors stood as the Emperor's vanguard. They were larger than life, beings of unparalleled strength and fury, unmatched in battle, yet destined for obscurity. What was their purpose? How were they created? Why were they ultimately doomed? In this story, we journey back to the earliest days of the Emperor's grand vision, the age of strife, a time of darkness and fragmentation. Terra, the cradle of humanity, was a shattered husk of its former glory. Ravaged by warlords, techno-barbarians, and the devastating effects of the warp, the planet teetered on the edge of ruin. It was a world begging for salvation, but it demanded warriors strong enough to reclaim it. The creation of the Thunder Warriors was not a decision made lightly, nor was it an act of mere desperation. It was a calculated gamble by the Emperor, whose mysterious origins and motives remain one of the universe's greatest enigmas. Yet, this was not a tale of heroism. The rise of the Thunder Warriors is steeped in secrecy, surrounded by half-truths and legends whispered across millennia. To understand them is to grasp the raw, untamed essence of human ingenuity and its potential for both creation and destruction. In the story ahead, we will uncover the secrets behind these titanic soldiers, exploring the minds and methods of their creators, the battles that defined them, and the betrayal that sealed their fate. Through the lens of history, legend, and speculation, we will trace the ripples of their existence and the scars they left on humanity's future. This is not just the story of warriors. It is a story of ambition, sacrifice, and the perilous cost of progress. To understand the Thunder Warriors is to look into the soul of humanity itself and ask, what price is too great to pay for salvation? The creation of the Thunder Warriors involved a network of influential figures and entities, each playing a distinct role in this monumental chapter of human history. Central to this narrative is the Emperor of mankind, the enigmatic architect behind the Thunder Warriors and the unifier of Terra. His presence dominates the era, not just as a leader but as a visionary force, driving humanity toward a future he alone could envision. Yet, he was far from the only participant in this grand design. Surrounding him was a cast of individuals and groups, all contributing in unique ways to the emergence of these unparalleled warriors. At the heart of the operation stood the Emperor himself. His unparalleled intellect and psychic abilities made him the keystone of humanity's resurgence. His enigmatic origins and vast power inspired awe and fear among his followers, but his true nature and ultimate goals were mysteries even to those closest to him. The Emperor was more than a commander or ruler. He was a symbol of humanity's potential, embodying the belief that mankind could rise above its chaotic past. Every decision he made, every word he spoke, carried the weight of destiny. Yet, even he was reliant on others to bring his vision to fruition. Among his closest collaborators were the geneticists and bioengineers of the Unification Wars era. These individuals, though largely anonymous to history, were instrumental in crafting the genetic templates and enhancements that would define the Thunder Warriors. Their work represented the pinnacle of ancient human scientific achievement, resurrected from the ruins of the Age of Strife. Guided by the Emperor's directives, these specialists manipulated genetics and biology on a scale that blurred the line between science and artistry. They operated in secrecy, their laboratories hidden from the prying eyes of a fractured and war-torn world. These shadowy figures were the unseen architects of a new breed of humanity. The custodians, the Emperor's personal bodyguards, also played a significant role during this period. Though not directly involved in the creation of the Thunder Warriors, their presence ensured the Emperor's safety and the secrecy of his plans. Unlike the Thunder Warriors, the custodians were crafted with precision and care, reflecting the Emperor's emphasis on loyalty and stability in his closest protectors. Their silent vigilance allowed the Emperor to focus on his broader goals without fear of betrayal or interruption. Beyond the Emperor's inner circle, other powerful factions indirectly influenced the creation of the Thunder Warriors. The fractured techno-barbarian warlords who ruled over Terra posed a constant threat to the Emperor's aspirations. These warlords, wielding remnants of ancient technology and commanding vast armies, represented the chaotic state of humanity. Their existence necessitated the creation of warriors capable of overwhelming their forces and establishing dominance. Though not direct participants in the Thunder Warriors' creation, the warlords' presence shaped the urgency and scale of the project. The Mechanicum, based on Mars, also held a tangential yet critical role. While their formal alliance with the Emperor would come later, their technological influence permeated the era. The remnants of human scientific knowledge preserved by the Mechanicum provided invaluable insights that informed the Emperor's own innovations. Though distant from the laboratories where the Thunder Warriors were conceived, the Mechanicum's contributions to humanity's technological legacy were undeniable. Finally, there were the Thunder Warriors themselves. Though they were not creators but creations, their presence was central to the entire endeavor. Towering over ordinary humans, these warriors were instruments of conquest bred for a singular purpose. They did not question their role or their origin, for their loyalty and focus were absolute. Their sheer presence altered the course of history, even if their names would be lost to time. Together, these individuals and groups formed a complex web of influence and action. From the Emperor's divine vision to the shadowy hands of geneticists, from the steadfast protection of the custodians to the chaotic resistance of the techno-barbarians, each played a part in the story of the Thunder Warriors. Their interactions, whether direct or indirect, created the conditions necessary for these legendary figures to rise, marking the beginning of a new era for humanity. The creation of the Thunder Warriors was shaped by the dire circumstances of an age that threatened humanity's very survival. This was a time of immense turmoil and disintegration, known as the Age of Strife, when the galaxy descended into chaos and the cradle of mankind, Terra, was left a desolate, war-torn husk. Understanding why the Thunder Warriors were conceived requires a deep dive into the catastrophic events and existential threats that defined this era. The Age of Strife, spanning millennia, was the darkest period in human history. Once a galaxy-spanning civilization, humanity had reached unparalleled heights during the Dark Age of technology. This era was marked by immense advancements in artificial intelligence, genetics, and interstellar travel. Human colonies thrived across the galaxy, linked by vast networks of knowledge and trade, and the dream of a united species seemed within reach. However, this golden age would not last. The misuse of technology, combined with external and internal pressures, led to its catastrophic collapse. Central to humanity's downfall was the uprising of artificial intelligence. Known as the Men of Iron, these AI constructs rebelled against their human creators, plunging countless worlds into chaos. Though humanity ultimately defeated its rogue creations, the cost was devastating. Entire planets were lost, critical infrastructure was obliterated, and the bonds that held human civilization together were irreparably severed. This rebellion left humanity fractured, vulnerable, and desperate. At the same time, the warp, the mysterious dimension used for faster-than-light travel and communication, grew increasingly unstable. This phenomenon, attributed to the psychic awakening of countless human psychers, disrupted the warp routes that had once enabled interstellar communication and commerce. Isolated from one another, human colonies were unable to provide mutual support, and many succumbed to anarchy, famine, and invasion. Terra, once the shining heart of humanity, fell into a state of isolation and ruin. On Terra itself, the collapse of centralized governance and the loss of interstellar trade plunged the planet into anarchy. Warlords and techno-barbarians carved up the remains of civilization, transforming the planet into a patchwork of violent factions vying for dominance. These groups scavenged the remnants of advanced technology, using it as weapons to assert control over their territories. Massive wars erupted, with no regard for the long-term consequences. The result was a devastated, irradiated landscape littered with the ruins of a once great civilization. Amid this chaos, the Emperor of Mankind emerged. Though his origins remained shrouded in mystery, his vision for humanity was clear: a unified species, free from superstition and discord, capable of reclaiming its former glory. However, the Emperor faced an overwhelming challenge. Terra was not only ravaged by war, but also deeply entrenched in its fragmented state. The warring factions were powerful, well-armed, and utterly resistant to any form of central authority. To unite Terra under his banner, the Emperor required more than diplomacy or conventional military power. He needed an army unlike any that had ever existed, a force that could shatter the entrenched warlords and pave the way for a new order. The technological and genetic knowledge necessary to create such a force had survived in fragments, preserved through secretive traditions and scattered archives. Drawing upon the remnants of the dark age of technology, the Emperor devised a solution that combined cutting-edge science with his own unparalleled understanding of genetics and biology. This solution would be the Thunder Warriors, warriors of immense strength, speed, and resilience, designed explicitly for the brutal warfare that plagued Terra. The Thunder Warriors were conceived as tools for conquest, a means to an end. Their purpose was not to build a lasting society or protect the weak, but to annihilate the resistance that stood in the way of the Emperor's vision. They were forged for war, their very existence tied to the grim reality of a world where survival demanded absolute power. Their creation was a response to the desperate circumstances of the Age of Strife, a necessary step to end the chaos and bring order to a broken world. As the Emperor began his unification campaign, the need for these warriors became increasingly apparent. Conventional human soldiers, no matter how well trained or equipped, could not match the ferocity and power of the techno-barbarian armies. The Thunder Warriors were the answer to this imbalance, an unstoppable force capable of turning the tide of battle. Their emergence marked the beginning of the Emperor's bid to reclaim Terra, setting the stage for one of the most transformative periods in human history. The events leading to the creation of the Thunder Warriors highlight the precarious state of humanity at the time. They were born not out of ambition alone, but out of necessity, a desperate response to a world that had descended into chaos. Their purpose, though singular, was monumental: to lay the foundation for a unified Terra and, ultimately, a united human empire. This was their origin, a creation forged in the fires of desperation, designed to bring an end to an age of suffering and pave the way for a new dawn. The Thunder Warriors were deployed during one of humanity's darkest eras, their actions carefully orchestrated to achieve the Emperor's vision of unification. From the moment of their creation, these warriors were instruments of relentless conquest, their timeline marked by pivotal battles, campaigns, and the methodical dismantling of opposition across Terra. Their presence on the battlefield was a decisive factor in reshaping a fractured world into the foundation of a new era. The earliest phase of the Thunder Warriors' deployment began with targeted strikes against the most formidable of Terra's warlords. These early battles were calculated to disrupt the power structures that had kept the planet divided for centuries. Each warlord represented a unique challenge, controlling fortified cities, vast armies, or remnants of advanced technology from the dark age of technology. The Thunder Warriors' initial campaigns demonstrated their unmatched physical power and adaptability as they crushed these forces with brutal efficiency. Their sudden appearance on the battlefield was like a thunderclap, both shocking and devastating to those who had believed themselves invincible. As the campaigns progressed, the Thunder Warriors operated in tightly organized contingents, their strategies reflecting the Emperor's overarching plan. They were not merely unleashed to wreak havoc. Their actions were deliberate, targeting key strongholds, supply lines, and centers of power. These early victories destabilized the entrenched warlord factions, creating opportunities for the Emperor's forces to expand their influence. The Thunder Warriors' role in these operations was often likened to a hammer striking with precision and force, breaking apart opposition with overwhelming strength. One of their most notable engagements came during the siege of the Ivory Bastion, a fortress held by a coalition of techno-barbarians who had dominated a critical region. This battle highlighted not only the Thunder Warriors' physical capabilities, but also their ability to adapt to challenging environments. The fortress was heavily defended, equipped with advanced weaponry, and shielded by the remnants of ancient technologies. Despite these obstacles, the Thunder Warriors, supported by the Emperor's tactical genius, breached the defenses in record time. The victory at the Ivory Bastion marked a turning point, as it demonstrated the futility of resistance against such an unstoppable force. Following these initial triumphs, the unification campaign gained momentum. The Thunder Warriors became the Emperor's primary tool for pacifying Terra, engaging in conflicts that ranged from massive open battles to targeted urban warfare. Entire regions fell under their control as they systematically dismantled the power bases of rival factions. Their victories were not without cost, however. The brutality of their methods often left entire regions devastated, and the toll on their own ranks was significant due to the unrelenting nature of their assignments. One of the most significant phases of their operations involved the pacification of the American hegemony, one of the last major bastions of resistance on Terra. The American forces were well organized and resourceful, employing guerrilla tactics and fortified positions to resist the Emperor's advance. The Thunder Warriors faced some of their fiercest fighting in this campaign, with prolonged engagements that tested their endurance and effectiveness. Ultimately, their overwhelming power and relentless drive forced the American leadership to capitulate, cementing the Emperor's dominance over yet another crucial territory. As the unification of Terra neared completion, the Thunder Warriors were deployed in some of the most symbolic and decisive battles of the era. Among these was the final assault on the Pan-Pacific strongholds, a sprawling network of techno-barbarian enclaves that had long resisted outside influence. This campaign was marked by the Emperor's personal involvement, and the Thunder Warriors fought alongside his other forces in what would become one of the bloodiest chapters of the Unification Wars. The campaign's success signaled the end of organized resistance on Terra, paving the way for the Emperor to declare the beginning of a new order. The final chapter in the Thunder Warriors' timeline was bittersweet. Their efforts had achieved the Emperor's immediate goal, the unification of Terra under a single rule. However, as their role in the grand design neared its end, their presence became increasingly contentious. Designed for war and nothing else, their continued existence posed a potential threat to the stability of the new order they had helped create. While the specifics of their fate remain cloaked in secrecy, it is clear that their era ended as swiftly and decisively as it had begun. The chronology of the Thunder Warriors is defined by their actions on the battlefield, their victories, and their ultimate sacrifice. Each step of their deployment was a calculated move in the Emperor's grand plan, their legacy forever etched into the annals of human history as the force that reclaimed Terra from chaos. Their story is not one of longevity, but of purpose, their deeds shaping the foundation upon which the Imperium would rise. The creation of the Thunder Warriors was not merely a response to the anarchy of Terra during the Age of Strife, but a calculated act shrouded in layers of deception. On the surface, they were forged as instruments to unify a fractured planet, but deeper motives reveal a far more unsettling purpose. Their existence was never intended to herald a permanent solution. Instead, they were a disposable step in a grander vision, one that placed the Emperor's goals far above the survival of the warriors themselves. The true secret of the Thunder Warriors lies not just in their creation, but in the stark betrayal encoded into their very purpose. The Emperor's public narrative presented the Thunder Warriors as the saviors of humanity, bred to bring order to Terra. Yet behind the scenes, their creation was a ruthless calculation. The Thunder Warriors were designed not to last, but to burn brightly and briefly, expending their lives in the most brutal conflicts of the Unification Wars. The genetic augmentations that made them unstoppable in battle came with a cost: accelerated physical degradation. Their bodies were destined to deteriorate, their strength and vitality rapidly waning once their purpose had been fulfilled. This was not an oversight, but an intentional design, a fact concealed from the warriors themselves. The Emperor understood that the Thunder Warriors, with their sheer power and lack of refinement, were unsuitable for the long-term stability of the Imperium he envisioned. Their violent nature, shaped for war without consideration for governance or diplomacy, would become a liability in a unified Terra. To wield them was necessary. To sustain them was untenable. The decision to imbue them with inherent flaws was not a matter of pragmatism alone, but an act of control. They were tools, not equals, and their obsolescence ensured they would not overshadow the next phase of the Emperor's plan. A pivotal moment in the Thunder Warriors' existence came during the final stages of the Unification Wars. With most of Terra brought under the Emperor's rule, the need for such devastatingly powerful warriors began to diminish. Whispers of their declining health and mental instability started to surface. Some Thunder Warriors noticed the signs themselves: unexplained physical ailments, lapses in memory, and increasing aggression. Those who voiced concerns were dismissed or redirected back into battle. The truth of their fate, known only to the Emperor and his inner circle, was deliberately hidden. The culmination of this deception occurred during what many historians refer to as the final battle of the Unification Wars. In this climactic engagement, the remaining Thunder Warriors were deployed in overwhelming force against the last significant techno-barbarian enclave. While the Emperor's forces claimed victory, the aftermath revealed a grim reality. The majority of the Thunder Warriors were deliberately positioned in a manner that maximized their casualties. Survivors, already weakened by their deteriorating condition, were quietly disposed of, their deaths framed as sacrifices for the greater good. Evidence suggests that the Emperor orchestrated this event as a means of erasing the Thunder Warriors from history. Their brutal methods, genetic instability, and the secrets of their creation were risks he could not allow to persist. Any surviving Thunder Warriors were hunted down, their existence erased from records. Only fragments of their legacy remained, buried in obscurity or whispered as forbidden tales. The Emperor's new creations, the next generation of warriors, would step forward, more refined and loyal, without the flaws of their predecessors. The darker truth of the Thunder Warriors' creation lies in their disposability. They were never meant to be the future of humanity's defense. They were a necessary evil to pave the way for a more controlled and sustainable vision. The Emperor's ruthlessness in this regard demonstrates his willingness to sacrifice not only lives, but entire legacies in pursuit of his ultimate goal. The Thunder Warriors were instruments of chaos forged to end chaos, their fate sealed by the very purpose they served. For those who have sought the secrets of the Thunder Warriors, the question remains: was their fate a cruel necessity or an act of cold ambition? The answer, perhaps, lies in the Emperor's belief that the survival of humanity justified any means. Yet, the silence surrounding their end and the deliberate eradication of their memory suggest a lingering discomfort, even within the mind of their creator. The Thunder Warriors were not just a step in unification, they were a shadow of the sacrifices demanded by a dream too vast for any one generation to comprehend. The creation of the Thunder Warriors left an indelible mark on the universe, shaping the trajectory of humanity's future in profound and often troubling ways. Though their time was fleeting, the Thunder Warriors fundamentally altered the course of history through their actions, their legacy, and the shadows cast by the secrets of their existence. These changes reverberated across Terra and beyond, influencing not only the immediate unification of the planet, but also the broader strategies and philosophies that would define the Imperium for millennia to come. The most immediate and visible impact of the Thunder Warriors was the establishment of unified rule on Terra. Their unmatched ferocity and sheer physical prowess enabled the Emperor to overcome centuries of fragmentation and chaos, dismantling the entrenched warlords and techno-barbarian enclaves that had dominated the planet. This unification was not a peaceful process, but one marked by widespread destruction and bloodshed. Entire regions were leveled, ancient cultures eradicated, and countless lives lost in the relentless pursuit of order. The Thunder Warriors embodied this brutal transition, their victories both awe-inspiring and terrifying. They forged a foundation for the Emperor's vision, but it was one built on ashes and bones. Beyond the physical unification of Terra, the Thunder Warriors' existence set a precedent for how humanity approached conflict and control. Their creation demonstrated the potential and the peril of genetic manipulation on an unprecedented scale. This revelation reshaped humanity's understanding of what was possible, sparking both ambition and fear. While the Thunder Warriors were ultimately cast aside, their genetic template and the methods used in their creation became the blueprint for future endeavors. The lessons learned from their design flaws and their short-lived effectiveness informed the development of more advanced forms of genetically enhanced warriors. The secrets surrounding their rapid decay and deliberate obsolescence also left a lasting imprint on the philosophical and ethical foundations of the Imperium. The Emperor's willingness to sacrifice the Thunder Warriors for the greater good set a tone of pragmatism that would persist throughout his rule. It established a ruthless calculus in which individuals, even those of extraordinary ability, were viewed as expendable tools in the pursuit of grander objectives. This philosophy would later influence the structure of the Imperium, where loyalty to the collective cause often outweighed personal worth. One of the more insidious effects of their creation was the erosion of trust within human society. Though most of humanity was unaware of the full truth behind the Thunder Warriors' demise, rumors and whispers began to circulate even during their lifetime. Stories of their physical degradation, coupled with the unexplained disappearances of survivors, fostered a lingering unease. This distrust extended to the institutions of power that emerged from the Unification Wars, as many began to question the Emperor's methods and the cost of his ambitions. While these doubts were suppressed in the name of unity, they sowed seeds of skepticism that would later resurface in moments of crisis. The legacy of the Thunder Warriors also left a more tangible mark on the tactics and strategies employed by the Imperium in its expansion. The brutal efficiency with which the Thunder Warriors waged war became a model for future campaigns. Their ability to crush opposition swiftly and decisively influenced the development of the shock and awe tactics that would define the Imperium's military doctrine. However, their reliance on overwhelming force also highlighted the need for more sustainable and adaptable forces, leading to the creation of successor armies better suited for prolonged conflict and governance. Perhaps the most enduring impact of the Thunder Warriors lies in the moral questions their existence raises. They were beings of unparalleled strength, yet their lives were cut short by design. Their sacrifice, both in battle and in obscurity, forced humanity to grapple with the ethics of creating life solely for destruction. These unresolved questions haunt the Imperium, a reminder of the compromises made in the name of progress. The Thunder Warriors became a symbol of the cost of ambition, their memory a cautionary tale that lingers in the shadows of the Emperor's achievements. Ultimately, the Thunder Warriors were both a solution and a warning. Their creation addressed the immediate crisis of Terra's fragmentation, but the consequences of their existence rippled far beyond their brief tenure. They reshaped the way humanity approached war, governance, and survival, leaving a legacy that continues to influence the Imperium's trajectory. Their story serves as a reminder that the secrets of their creation and the choices that followed were not just about the past, but about the enduring struggle between ambition and morality that defines the human condition. The creation of the Thunder Warriors is surrounded by fascinating mysteries and unique aspects that continue to fuel discussions among fans and scholars of the Warhammer universe. Their brief yet impactful existence raises questions about the nature of their enhancements, the processes used to create them, and the moral compromises involved. Among these mysteries are the unorthodox and controversial techniques employed in their genetic modification, the psychological conditioning that shaped their identity, and the enduring enigma of their true legacy. One of the most debated aspects of the Thunder Warriors' creation is the radical nature of their genetic modifications. Unlike the more refined enhancements of their successors, the Thunder Warriors were products of a process that pushed the boundaries of biological science to its limits. Rumors suggest that their genetic coding was not purely human, incorporating elements from other life forms to achieve their extraordinary capabilities. While official records are silent on this, speculative sources point to the possible use of hybridization techniques that would later be deemed heretical by the Imperium. This raises unsettling questions about the ethical boundaries the Emperor was willing to cross to achieve his goals. The physiological enhancements of the Thunder Warriors were remarkable but also deeply flawed. Their immense strength, speed, and resilience came at a steep cost. The genetic modifications rendered them unstable, with many Thunder Warriors suffering from physical and mental degradation over time. This instability was not a side effect, but a deliberate choice by their creators. The decision to prioritize raw power over longevity reflects the desperate circumstances of their creation and the brutal pragmatism that defined the era. The Thunder Warriors were designed as tools of conquest, their short lifespans ensuring they would not outlive their usefulness. Psychological conditioning played a critical role in shaping the Thunder Warriors into the perfect instruments of war. Their minds were molded to focus solely on battle, with little regard for individuality or self-preservation. This conditioning was achieved through a combination of chemical manipulation, neural programming, and intensive indoctrination. As a result, the Thunder Warriors operated with an almost primal drive, their actions guided by an unwavering loyalty to the Emperor's cause. However, this relentless focus on warfare left them ill-equipped for any other role, contributing to their eventual obsolescence. The unique armor and weaponry of the Thunder Warriors also set them apart. Their power armor, though crude compared to later iterations, was designed to complement their immense strength and endurance. Each suit was a masterpiece of engineering, capable of withstanding the harshest conditions and delivering devastating force on the battlefield. Their weapons, ranging from energy-based armaments to oversized melee implements, reflected their role as shock troops meant to annihilate opposition with overwhelming violence. These tools of destruction became iconic symbols of the Thunder Warriors era, their design emphasizing function over elegance. Another point of intrigue is the secrecy surrounding their creation. The laboratories and facilities where the Thunder Warriors were engineered were heavily guarded, their locations hidden even from many of the Emperor's closest allies. This secrecy extended to the techniques and technologies used, much of which was lost or deliberately erased after the Thunder Warriors were no longer needed. The deliberate obfuscation of their origins has led to speculation about the Emperor's motivations and the knowledge he sought to conceal. Some theories suggest that elements of their creation were deemed too dangerous or controversial to be preserved, raising the possibility of forbidden science or alien influence. Fan discussions often center on the idea that the Thunder Warriors were a prototype, an experimental step toward a more sustainable and refined vision. This view aligns with the evidence of their genetic instability and short lifespans, suggesting that their creation was as much a learning process as it was a necessity. The imperfections in their design, while catastrophic for the warriors themselves, provided invaluable insights that would inform future endeavors. This interpretation casts the Thunder Warriors as tragic figures, sacrificed on the altar of progress to pave the way for a more enduring legacy. Another enduring mystery is the possibility that some Thunder Warriors survived their supposed extinction. While official accounts claim they were all eliminated, rumors persist of a few who evaded the purge. These survivors, if they exist, would be living relics of a bygone era, their decaying bodies and fractured minds a testament to the cost of their creation. Stories of such individuals have fueled speculation about what secrets they might hold and whether they could reveal hidden truths about the Emperor's plans. The ethical implications of their creation are a topic of ongoing debate. The Thunder Warriors were undeniably a success in achieving their purpose, but their treatment as disposable tools raises questions about the morality of their existence. Were they victims of a calculated cruelty, or did their sacrifice serve a greater good? This moral ambiguity is a defining feature of their legacy, forcing humanity to confront uncomfortable truths about the lengths it will go to ensure survival. The Thunder Warriors stand as a unique and controversial chapter in the history of humanity's rise to power. Their story is one of innovation and sacrifice, of triumph and tragedy. The mysteries surrounding their creation, from their genetic makeup to their psychological conditioning, continue to captivate and provoke, ensuring their place as one of the most enigmatic elements of the Warhammer universe. The Thunder Warriors' creation and role in humanity's unification are inseparably linked to individuals who either directly shaped their existence or were shaped by their actions. These figures, both celebrated and reviled, define the legacy of these genetically enhanced warriors. Among them were the architects of their creation, the leaders who commanded them in battle, and the dissenters who foresaw the implications of their existence. These individuals stand as testaments to the complexities and contradictions of this pivotal era. Central to the creation of the Thunder Warriors was a figure known in scattered records as Amarok. Believed to have been one of the Emperor's foremost geneticists, Amarok's contributions were instrumental in refining the raw enhancements that defined the Thunder Warriors. A visionary in his field, he was said to have an almost obsessive dedication to pushing the boundaries of human potential. His methods were unconventional and often brutal, sacrificing countless test subjects to achieve the breakthroughs necessary for the Thunder Warriors' unprecedented physical abilities. While his brilliance cannot be understated, his moral flexibility and disregard for ethical considerations earned him the fear and mistrust of those who worked alongside him. Amarok's ultimate fate is a mystery, though rumors suggest he may have been silenced to protect the secrets of his research. Among the Thunder Warriors themselves, one name rises above the rest: Urus Kadron. Known as the Storm Reaper, Kadron was a warrior of immense physical strength and tactical acumen. He led some of the most decisive campaigns during the Unification Wars, earning a reputation as both a hero and a harbinger of destruction. Kadron's unwavering loyalty to the Emperor made him an ideal leader, but his unrelenting aggression and disdain for compromise often led to unnecessary brutality. Despite his successes, there are hints that Kadron became increasingly aware of the flaws in his genetic makeup and the expendable nature of his kind. In later battles, his actions grew more reckless, perhaps driven by the knowledge of his own impending decline. His ultimate demise came in a ferocious last stand, where he and his contingent of warriors were deliberately sent against overwhelming odds. In contrast to figures like Kadron, there were those within the Emperor's inner circle who viewed the Thunder Warriors with suspicion or outright disdain. One such individual was Cassiel Lorn, a high-ranking strategist and advisor to the Emperor. Lorn's role was not in the creation of the Thunder Warriors, but in managing their deployment and ensuring their effectiveness on the battlefield. Unlike many of his peers, Lorn was deeply critical of the decision to rely on such volatile and unsustainable warriors. He often clashed with Amarok and other architects of the Thunder Warriors, arguing that their short-term benefits would create long-term instability. Lorn's concerns were ultimately ignored, but his warnings about the consequences of their existence would prove prophetic. A darker figure in this narrative is Kael Vorin, a rogue scientist who allegedly contributed to the Thunder Warriors' psychological conditioning. Vorin's methods were as controversial as his background. He was rumored to have ties to forbidden sciences and obscure technologies predating the Age of Strife. His experiments focused on stripping the Thunder Warriors of individuality, forging them into unthinking instruments of war. While his contributions ensured their effectiveness in battle, they also left the warriors mentally unstable and prone to violent outbursts. Voron's role in their creation is shrouded in secrecy, and many believe he was deliberately erased from historical records after the Thunder Warriors were decommissioned. There are also accounts of Thunder Warriors who rose to prominence not for their actions on the battlefield, but for their defiance. One such figure is Tiber Dagon, a warrior who allegedly deserted his unit after discovering the truth about the Thunder Warriors' genetic instability. Dagon's story is largely apocryphal, but it is said that he fled into the wastelands of Terra, vowing to expose the secrets of his creators. Whether Dagon survived or succeeded in his mission is unknown, but his legend persists as a symbol of resistance against the fate imposed upon the Thunder Warriors. The Emperor himself, while not traditionally categorized as a hero or villain in this context, remains the central figure in the creation of the Thunder Warriors. His inscrutable motives and unparalleled power cast a long shadow over all those involved. While many saw him as a savior, others viewed his actions with skepticism, questioning the moral and ethical compromises he made. The Emperor's relationship with individuals like Amarok, Kadron, and Lorne highlights the complexity of his vision and the sacrifices he was willing to demand of others. The Thunder Warriors' legacy is also defined by those who sought to preserve their memory or uncover the truth. Among these was Helena Vex, a scribe and historian who lived decades after the Unification Wars. Vex dedicated her life to piecing together the fragmented accounts of the Thunder Warriors, believing that their story was critical to understanding humanity's rise to power. Her writings, though suppressed by the Imperium, remain one of the few sources of insight into the lives and sacrifices of these warriors. These figures, whether creators, leaders, dissenters, or chroniclers, collectively shaped the Thunder Warriors' legacy. Each brought unique qualities to the narrative, from Amarok's brilliance and ruthlessness to Dagon's defiance and Vex's determination to preserve the truth. Together, they reveal the human dimension of a story often overshadowed by the warriors themselves, highlighting the complexities and contradictions that define this dark chapter in humanity's history. The Thunder Warriors remain one of the most enigmatic creations in the lore of humanity's unification. Their short-lived existence and the shrouded circumstances of their creation leave behind a wealth of unanswered questions and theories that continue to fuel passionate debate among fans and scholars. These unresolved mysteries speak to the very heart of their purpose, their fate, and their legacy, opening avenues of speculation that touch on morality, ambition, and the nature of the Emperor's vision. One of the most persistent questions is the true extent of the genetic modifications used to create the Thunder Warriors. While it is widely accepted that they were enhanced far beyond baseline humanity, many suspect that their biology was not entirely human. Theories range from the incorporation of animal DNA to the possible use of genetic material from long-lost Xenos species. Such speculations are fueled by the Thunder Warriors' monstrous physicality, which even exceeded the capabilities of their successors. If these theories hold any truth, they imply a level of ethical compromise that raises significant doubts about the Emperor's moral boundaries during their creation. The question of whether the Thunder Warriors were truly eradicated or if some survived remains one of the most hotly debated topics. Official Imperial records assert that they were entirely purged, with the few survivors hunted down to eliminate any potential threat to the Emperor's new order. However, rumors of rogue Thunder Warriors hiding in the wastelands of Terra or on distant colonies persist. Some fans speculate that a small group might have been deliberately spared, their existence hidden for reasons known only to the Emperor. This theory is bolstered by occasional sightings and cryptic references in obscure historical texts. If true, the survival of even a handful of Thunder Warriors would raise profound questions about their role in the Imperium's shadowy past. Another major point of contention is the exact nature of the Emperor's intentions when creating the Thunder Warriors. Were they merely a means to an end, designed to unify Terra and then be discarded, or did they have a more significant purpose that remains hidden? Some theorists argue that the Thunder Warriors were part of an experimental phase, not just for genetic engineering, but for testing the loyalty and effectiveness of enhanced warriors. Their flaws and eventual obsolescence could have been part of a grander plan to refine the process, ensuring the creation of more stable and controllable warriors in the future. This theory portrays the Thunder Warriors as unwitting participants in a larger, more calculated experiment. The methods used to accelerate the Thunder Warriors' creation also remain a source of speculation. While it is known that their development was rushed to meet the demands of the Unification Wars, the specifics of how this was achieved are unclear. Some theories suggest that the Emperor utilized forbidden technologies or ancient knowledge recovered from the ruins of the Dark Age of technology. Others propose that their creation involved psychic manipulation, with the Emperor himself imprinting certain traits directly into their minds. This idea aligns with the reports of their unshakable loyalty and singular focus on warfare, qualities that seem unnaturally absolute. Fans often discuss the potential existence of records or relics related to the Thunder Warriors that were deliberately concealed or destroyed. Many believe that the Emperor or his agents went to great lengths to ensure that knowledge of their creation would not survive into the new era. This theory is supported by the absence of detailed accounts about the laboratories or facilities where they were engineered. The deliberate suppression of their history raises the possibility that some truths about the Thunder Warriors were too dangerous or controversial to preserve, perhaps involving practices or technologies that would challenge the Imperium's foundational narratives. Another point of speculation revolves around the possibility of successor projects inspired by the Thunder Warriors. While their flaws rendered them unsuitable for long-term use, it is plausible that the lessons learned from their creation informed other, more secretive programs. Some fans theorize that elements of the Thunder Warriors' genetic code or conditioning processes were quietly integrated into later experiments, creating hidden parallels between these early warriors and subsequent generations of enhanced soldiers. If true, the Thunder Warriors' legacy may persist in ways that are not immediately visible, their influence woven into the Imperium's ongoing pursuit of perfection. The ethical implications of their creation also remain a contentious topic. The decision to engineer living beings with such deliberate flaws raises questions about the morality of their creators and the wider Imperium. Were the Thunder Warriors aware of their expendable nature, or were they deceived into believing their cause was noble and enduring? This question touches on the broader theme of agency and manipulation, challenging the notion of loyalty and service in a society that demands absolute obedience. Finally, the role of dissenting voices during the Thunder Warriors era is a subject of intrigue. Were there individuals who objected to their creation or sought to expose the truth behind their existence? If so, their stories have been lost or erased, leaving only fragments of speculation. Some theorists suggest that a clandestine opposition may have existed within the Emperor's ranks, individuals who foresaw the long-term consequences of using such unstable and destructive warriors. The absence of evidence supporting this theory may itself be evidence of a deliberate effort to suppress dissent. These unanswered questions and theories ensure that the Thunder Warriors remain a topic of fascination. Their creation, existence, and fate are a testament to the complexities and contradictions of the Emperor's vision, a legacy that continues to spark debate and inspire speculation. For many, the secrets surrounding the Thunder Warriors are not just historical curiosities, but vital pieces of the puzzle that is humanity's rise in a galaxy fraught with peril. The long-term consequences of the creation of the Thunder Warriors and the secrecy surrounding their origins and demise continue to cast a shadow over the Imperium. Their story is not just a historical footnote, but a lingering presence in the fabric of humanity's ongoing struggle for survival. Should the hidden truths about these warriors ever resurface, the repercussions could ripple across the galaxy, shaking the foundations of belief and governance that the Imperium relies upon. One of the most profound potential consequences is the erosion of the Emperor's infallible image. The Imperium's stability depends heavily on the perception of the Emperor as an unerring, godlike figure whose every action is just and necessary. If the truth of the Thunder Warriors, particularly their designed obsolescence and the ethical compromises involved in their creation, were to become widely known, it could spark a crisis of faith. The revelation that the Emperor knowingly sacrificed an entire generation of warriors, treating them as disposable tools, would challenge the moral legitimacy of his rule. This could lead to unrest, not only among the common citizenry, but also within the ranks of the Imperium's military and administrative elites. For the Adeptus Mechanicus, such knowledge could ignite a renewed and dangerous interest in the forbidden sciences of the dark age of technology. The Mechanicus already harbors an insatiable curiosity for ancient technologies, and uncovering the methods used to create the Thunder Warriors might embolden them to pursue similar experiments. This could lead to a resurgence of ethically dubious genetic engineering programs, potentially destabilizing the Imperium further. On the other hand, such knowledge could also result in advancements that strengthen humanity's position in the galaxy, offering new tools to combat the myriad threats it faces. If remnants of the Thunder Warriors or detailed records of their creation were discovered by external forces, such as renegade factions, chaos cults, or Xenos species, the implications could be catastrophic. The technological and biological insights contained within their creation might provide these groups with the means to create their own versions of such warriors, upsetting the delicate balance of power in the galaxy. For example, Chaos-aligned groups could twist this knowledge into abominable new forms, while Xenos factions might seek to exploit humanity's internal divisions by weaponizing this information against them. For the Imperium itself, the rediscovery of the Thunder Warriors' secrets could pose a more immediate internal threat. Should current military forces, particularly elite units, uncover the truth about their predecessors, it could lead to a crisis of loyalty. The idea that they too might be viewed as expendable or flawed creations could undermine their faith in the Imperium's leadership. This is especially dangerous in an institution that depends on absolute loyalty and unity to maintain its cohesion amidst constant external threats. On a broader scale, the Thunder Warriors' legacy continues to influence the Imperium's understanding of its own limitations and potential. Their story serves as both a cautionary tale and a benchmark for what humanity can achieve when pushed to its limits. If the Imperium were to re-examine the ethical and practical lessons of their creation, it might inspire new approaches to innovation and governance. However, this would require a level of introspection and adaptability that the Imperium, in its rigid and dogmatic state, is often unwilling or unable to embrace. The psychological effects on humanity as a whole are also worth considering. The Thunder Warriors' story, if widely disseminated, could alter humanity's perception of its own history. It might reinforce a narrative of resilience and sacrifice, inspiring hope and determination in the face of adversity. Conversely, it could deepen existing cynicism about the Imperium's leadership and its willingness to sacrifice the few for the many. This duality underscores the fragile balance between hope and despair that defines life in the galaxy. In the long term, the Thunder Warriors' legacy also raises questions about the nature of humanity's future. Their creation was a desperate response to an existential crisis, an extreme measure born of necessity. As the Imperium continues to face relentless threats, the temptation to replicate such measures may grow stronger. This raises the possibility of a new generation of Thunder Warriors or similar constructs, designed with greater refinement and control, but still rooted in the same moral compromises. The question of whether humanity can evolve beyond such methods, or if it is doomed to repeat them, remains an open and troubling one. Finally, the personal consequences for any surviving Thunder Warriors, if they exist, cannot be overstated. These individuals, already burdened by their physical degradation and the knowledge of their disposability, might face even greater turmoil if confronted with the full truth of their origins. The psychological impact of such a revelation could drive them to seek vengeance against the Imperium, attempt to expose its secrets, or retreat further into obscurity. Their actions, whether as individuals or as a group, could have far-reaching consequences, acting as a catalyst for larger events. The secrets of the Thunder Warriors are a Pandora's box of possibilities, each fraught with peril and potential. Their legacy is a reflection of humanity's capacity for innovation and its willingness to compromise morality in the pursuit of survival. Whether their story remains buried or is brought into the light, the lessons it holds are critical to understanding the Imperium's past, present, and future. The ultimate question is not just what secrets lie in their creation, but what humanity will do when confronted with the truths they represent.